Well, with more on the US President's speech, I'm joined in the studio by Michael Ondaatje, who's a senior lecturer at the University of Newcastle as well as the US Studies Centre at Sydney University. Michael, this was always going to be a broad-reaching speech, pretty low on specifics. It's not really the forum for it. One of the key themes, though, was that Obama talked a lot about the mechanics of negotiation and compromise. He talked about seizing the moment together, needing to act without delay, not having to agree necessarily on all the contours of life. This is going to be a key feature, isn't it, for the next few years?
I think it is going to be a key feature for the next few years. This was a bold speech. It was an ambitious speech. It was a powerful speech. I said to a colleague of mine this morning that it was sort of Obama unleashed, because he talked a lot about some issues that haven't been talked about a lot in inaugural addresses, certainly. Gay marriage, which was big, and gay rights, but also climate change.
What do you think would have brought about that leaning towards the liberal side?
I think Obama has viewed his re-election as a kind of mandate to run a very liberal line in American politics. I think the speech was the clearest liberal vision for government since Franklin Roosevelt's second inaugural address in 1937. What I was saying to students this morning was I think that this is like a democratic Ronald Reagan, where Ronald Reagan was proudly conservative in every facet of his life. Barack Obama today came out and owned his liberalism. He was proud of it, he spoke up for it, and he sent a very clear message to the Republican Party that he means business in his second term.
At the very same time, he's at the mercy somewhat of the Republicans who have control of the House. How is this going to play out for them, angering those people who voted against Obama by mentioning all those liberal views?
This is going to make or break his second term, how skillful he can be in these negotiations with Republicans. It's very hard to be bipartisan or post-partisan with a Congress that is committed to you failing. So what Obama will do is he will try to meet the Republicans at least some way along the road, and if he doesn't get any joy there, he will use the bully pulpit to try and win in the court of public opinion in the hope that the people pressure their representatives in Congress to do what he wants them to do. That's something we're going to see in the second term.
From what we can tell from here, people seem fairly divided on issues like gun control, for instance. How is that going to play out? Because those are going to be the bigger priorities, you know, managing gun control, the fiscal situation there.
Yeah, I think there are some big issues that are looming in the next few weeks and in the next few months. One is gun control, the other is immigration reform. Both are key issues in and of themselves, but they also have the potential to wedge Republicans. Not all Republicans sing from the right song sheet when it comes to guns, and on immigration reform, the Republicans really have to get on board or lose the Hispanic vote.
And they're also, the Republicans, not exactly unanimous in their support for John Boehner as well, the Speaker of the House.
They're not, and what Obama will try to do if he can't get the Republicans to come to the negotiating table is try and split that party further in the hope...
How will he do that mechanically?
Well, I think, as I was saying, I think he will speak to the American people. He'll speak beyond the Congress. And one of the things that is really interesting is that even when Barack Obama's popularity levels were at their lowest about a year ago in the mid-40s, his popularity ratings were always a lot higher than the Congress's, which I think are running at 14 or 15% approval rating at the moment. So he will speak beyond the Congress in the hope that the American people, challenge their representatives.
Because his campaign team has already started working on those people, those community events and gatherings to mobilise people to try to pressure their local politicians as well.
He has, and they have, and he knows that he's got to win the first year or two, because after 2 years, presidents become lame duck presidents. And some of the issues you've alluded to already today, gun reform, and immigration reform, are going to be crucial, but I think the key issue for securing his legacy, he's already a president of consequence, but the key issue for securing his legacy is whether the economy picks up, whether the unemployment rate drops, and whether he can broker a long-term plan to deal with the deficit. If he can do that, Barack Obama will go down as a genuinely transformational president.
We can expect, I saw one observer say, more meat on the bones of some of these broad announcements that we saw overnight. What do you expect in the State of the Union address?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a really good question, and it's. I had expected Obama today to lay out a broad vision and talk a lot about unity. He did talk a little bit about unity, but the emphasis of today's speech was what he was going to do in spite of the divisions in America. I think in the
Which is quite different from what it was 4 years ago.
Oh, absolutely. This was a far superior speech, I think, than the one he delivered 4 years ago, and I think the Liberal base will see it that way as well. It was a speech very much for them, but it was a warning at the same time to Republicans that he means business. Now, I think in the State of the Union address in a few weeks' time, he will nut out the specific policy detail that will enable him to realise this Liberal vision that he's enunciated today.
Right, we're looking forward to it. Michael Ondaatje, thanks for joining us.
My pleasure.